As you'll recall, just recently, famed scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson was asked about GMO foods. And if you're unaware, that's genetically modified foods. Now, he expressed a bit of disdain to those who opposed the use of GMO foods, and then he proceeded to lay out his reasons in an argument. Now, I actually do disagree with him on a small level, but I think it has more to do with things that he didn't address as opposed to him being outright wrong. Now, before I go on to what I think on the matter, here's the original video of him talking.
Que pensez-vous des plantes transgénétiques?
I'm amazed how much objection genetically modified foods are receiving from the public. It smacks of the fear factor that exists at every new emergent science where people don't fully understand it or don't fully know or embrace its consequences and so therefore reject it. What most people don't know, but they should, is that practically every food you buy in a store for consumption by humans is genetically modified food. There are no wild, seedless watermelons. There's no wild cows. There's no long stem roses growing in the wild, although we don't eat roses. You list all the fruit and all the vegetables and ask yourself, is there a wild counterpart to this? If there is, it's not as large, it's not as sweet, it's not as juicy, and it has way more seeds in it. We have systematically, genetically modified all the foods, the vegetables and animals that we have eaten ever since we cultivated them. It's called artificial selection. That's how we genetically modified them. So now we can do it in a lab, all of a sudden you're going to complain? If you're the complainer type, go back and eat the apples that grow wild. You know something? They're this big and they're tart. They're not sweet like red delicious apples. We manufactured those. That's a genetic modification. Do you realize silk cannot be produced in the wild? The silkworm, as we cultivate it, has no wild counterpart because it would die in the wild. So there's not even any silk anymore. So we are creating and modifying the biology of the world to serve our needs. I don't have a problem with that because we've been doing that for tens of thousands of years. So chill out.
Okay, merci.
My main concern when it comes to GMOs is that when you're genetically programming food, it's not the same thing as selectively growing it, which is what he's stating. In history, we've selectively grown seeds and plants to get better ones. And I don't think that's the same thing as literally programming its genetic code. But again, that's a bit of an iffy thing that I could be wrong on. My other problem is this. I do oppose GMOs on a level for one particular reason: the profit motive. What we do have is people like Monsanto programming seeds to self-terminate and then not be able to grow in the next generation. And that's because so that the person who has the seeds, particularly farmers, a lot of farmers in the third world, have to go and buy those seeds again. And they can't use the seeds from their own products because they've got the suicide gene in it. So my problem with GMOs is essentially the profit motive that's written into its production. In other words, capitalism is the problem when it comes to GMOs. And then there's the whole issue of copyrighting a gene, where you now own that and no one else is allowed to use it. And then Monsanto has a history of going and spreading seeds in other people's farms to let them end up growing, and then they take a sample and they turn around, sue the farmer, and then take his land. So I would say that's the problem with GMOs. I'm not opposed to making better plants to grow more food more efficiently. I would love that. My problem is that's not what's going to happen in capitalism. The profit motive is going to pervert what should be a tremendous science that will advance human beings beyond all bounds, but instead will be used to make money and used to hurt other people in the process. Thank you for watching. Please comment and rate the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe or check out some of these other great videos. If you wish, share it on social media. While you're at it, why don't you follow me on Twitter? And if you got time, go on over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.